From elementary school teacher to replacing her teaching salary in less than 4 months. This week, I'm sharing an amazing client and her journey into entrepreneurship. Hey ladies, it's Amanda. Welcome to the Feel Amazing Naked podcast. This is a show where we dig deep, get honest, and talk about all the unsexy steps it takes to meet your goals. Whether you want to get fit, eat healthier, make more money, start a business, or any other results you desire in your life. Most of all, this podcast is for women who are ready to feel amazing naked on the outside and the inside. So ladies, time to take it off. Welcome ladies to this week's episode. And before we dive in and I share the amazing story from Thia, I also wanted to share a new way to work with me one-to-one. If you are a woman in the idea stage, you're like ready to take an idea and bring it to fruition, as Thia will share today on this week's episode, or you are just feeling kind of stuck in your business, like you're putting in all this work and you feel like there should be more results happening, then Business in a Day is for you. It's a fast track way to success where we sit down either via Zoom or in person and we create a plan to catapult your business into stardom or to take your business from where it is now to where you want it to be. So if this is something you want to chat more about, you're curious, you're interested in the details, and you want to know how this works, I would love to hear from you. We can schedule some time to chat at feelamazingnaked.com/let's chat, LETSCHAT. And I can hear about your idea, your business, and where it's at, and feel confident that I can support you to get to the next level. Welcome to the podcast. You guys, today I have an amazing guest on, and she is a client of mine. And you know, I talk all the time about these interviews being my favorite to showcase because ultimately the purpose of coaching is to change lives. And when you get to hear a woman just like you and I, right? You're not a unicorn and neither am I. But when you get to hear their story right from their mouth, then I think it's an example of what's possible. And I'm excited to welcome Thia to the show. So thank you for being here.
Yay. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I was thinking a lot about, just like the shifting going on in my business and trying to help more people experience what you and I both are experiencing in our lives. We come from like this former educator background. And I think you would agree that if somebody would have told me like 10 years ago that I'd be running my own business, making money that I didn't even know was possible, meeting like amazing women from across the globe, I would have never believed it.
It's amazing.
Do you feel the same?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's amazing. I still can't believe it.
Yeah. And one of the amazing women is you that I got to meet. I was connected to you from another amazing client and who had experienced kind of massive results as well. And we got to connect over the phone and instantaneously there were so many congruencies, former educators, this ready to move on, all these things. But I would love for you to share just from your version. When we first connected, tell us a little bit about where you were in your life, what was going on, and why you reached out.
Well, it's so fun to have an opportunity to even kind of reflect back, to that first phone call even. And, not even thinking that I could make anything of this idea of mine. And I wasn't even thinking I could really have a business. But that first phone call where I was at was, I need to go get some training. I need to go get a certification in order to help families, in order to do this idea of mine. And I loved our conversation because I will never forget, I was in the car talking to you and you said, so maybe that's not your people then, because when you want someone's guidance and you want someone to help you, you're not really asking them for their background and their list of certifications and their, all their documents that prove who they are. And it really spoke to me because I was getting ready to go spend a lot of money on some certifications that really didn't even speak to my heart. It was just something I was told that I should probably do. And that really, really helped me. So that was the first phone call.
Yeah, ever. It was a good one. I very much remember I was sitting on my front porch, actually, I think sipping coffee while we were talking or something like that. But let's go back. You are, a trained educator. You taught elementary school, but talk about this idea that you're referencing, kind of your background and where you found kind of, I guess, a sticking point that you weren't satisfied with in the traditional learning environment.
Yeah. So 12 years in the classroom, K through 4. And there was always just this little quiet voice inside me that our families deserve more. Our families deserve more. I just kind of quieted it, ignored it, and focused on my classroom, focused on the families that were in my classroom, mind my own business, do what I can outside with the administration. But something really, really triggered me during COVID. There's just a lot of gaps in our education system and kids being ignored, and not intentionally. This is not an opportunity to bash the school system. It just is what it is. I would get very emotional, very upset of what I was seeing with the kids. And I'm talking about children who are gifted and need higher resources and need more and, need extensions and creativity. And then, of course, the kids who are low, they actually get a lot of support, but they're missing some of the social emotional support. They're focused on the academic, and what about their confidence? What about their social interactions with their peers? So that's what I saw with the lower kids. And then there's this sweet space of the sweet little children in between. Also, the kids who are just fine, the kids who are meeting expectations, the kids who are quiet and well behaved, and they're getting left out also. So I just really started listening to this. And then in COVID, what happened, I became the virtual school teacher for all K through 4. So I taught all grades in my school for all the kids who could not return back on campus learning. And I started really connecting with these kids on the screen deeper than I thought I could have ever even imagined. And the families were starting to email me independently saying, my child's favorite time during the school day is the 45 minutes with you. And I can finally hear that, it makes me emotional just thinking about it, because these emails were pouring in and the kids were happy when they were on the screen with me. But the thing about it is that upset me. They shouldn't be just happy for 45 minutes when they're on with me. And so I just started really thinking, so that quiet voice I always had in the classroom was starting to get really loud. And I just really thought maybe I could do this on my own and support these families independently outside of the school system so they can get what they need all around. The school day is great, but they need more.
Yeah, totally. And when I heard that, of course, my soft spot is like, I see it. I saw it at the high school level when I was teaching high school, right? Like you described it so perfectly. The highs getting one, the gifted getting this type of attention, the ones on the lower end of the academic spectrum getting this one. And then often the kids in the middle, though, they're just getting by. They're fine. They're good. So to see that the kids being seen for something different, I think is such a critical part. And again, we're both educators. We get it. This isn't the fault of the educators. I think it's the fault of the system and the way it's organized and structured in general, because we see you teachers listening. I have a lot of teachers that listen to the show or former teachers. There is so much that you're responsible for in the day to day. What you're basically, came to me with was this an idea of like, there's got to be another way to supplement the traditional learning environment that kids are experiencing. But I just have to reemphasize this because this is an objection some of you have, is you had no business degree, right? You didn't sneak in an MBA or an undergrad degree somewhere. You'd never been in sales, really, right? Never been in marketing.
No,
okay.
Never.
And Let's just verify now, and we'll talk about the in-between. You run a business that's successful and profitable, right?
I sure do.
Heck yeah, you do. You can say that. You're the CEO of your own business. You are running a business. You are an entrepreneur. And
unbelievable.
I know, crazy, right? When I heard your idea, I was immediately like, oh gosh, I saw so much opportunity. And I want to say that we were coming on the beginning of summer.
Yes.
And so I also saw a very timely opportunity for you if you were willing to dive into business and become immediately profitable.
I would love to talk about that.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, talk about it.
For all the listeners, and I love that you called out for the teachers, because our heart is to support and love on our teachers. But so it was the end of April was our first business accelerator class, if you will, end of April. And I had 1 month a few weeks actually of the kids still in school in May. So I had to figure this out quickly. And your idea was to jump on, I don't know the words that you used, but time's of the essence, right? And it was to create something for the summer so I can start serving immediately, way before I was ready.
Yeah. And did it work?
Oh, yes.
And I love that you just highlighted way before you're ready, because like, okay, I'll dabble in this business thing and we want it to look perfect and we think we should have a website and we think we should have social media. I hope you don't mind me sharing this, but essentially, you brought in revenue wise in a summer or within the first 3 to 5 months of your business, what you were making in an entire academic school year.
Correct.
Which blows your mind, right?
Yes.
And that's just the bonus. But I think that for all of us building businesses, when we see the profitability and we see the money hit our bank account, we're like, okay, there's interest in this idea. This could be something. And then when you realize, like, truthfully, if you wanted to, you could just work the summers moving forward and bring in that revenue. And if that's what your family wants, that would be okay. And that would be fantastic. Or you could not work the summers at all now. There is so much you could do. But the point being here is, in order to get us places that we envision, sometimes we have to let go of that perfection or that feeling that we think that we're gonna feel ready for that really doesn't happen.
Honestly. And I come back to that learning from you weekly. I don't have to be ready. I'm totally letting go of the perfectionism. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's very messy. And that's okay. And that's what's kept me moving forward. I just celebrated officially 1 year of business.
Yay!
And it's still messy and it's still not figured out perfectly. But
well, same here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you then share, so how are you filling that gap now? Will you just describe what your work looks like now that this first summer, what it was and what you've learned from that and kind of what it looks like and has been even evolved into in this first year?
Yeah. It's been a really beautiful, I would say, very organic transition. So that first summer was focusing in on what was easy for me was academic support. That looked like one-on-ones with kids on the screens. So funny. One family was in Colorado on vacation, or, their families are everywhere, and their child gets that 1 hour every week with me. And it was serving the academic gap, reading or math, everywhere from 5 years old to I had a 14-year-old. So everywhere in between. But my heart is the social emotional part. And what I tell my families is if you work with me, you get the academic, but you absolutely get that social emotional confidence building, because that's just who I am. And the kids don't even know they're getting it, but we're working on all those skills, and as we continue to work together, you and I, it was starting to kind of formulate this idea of, I really want to serve families and boost kids' confidence. And also the connection with the parents and the kid has become my huge focus right now, is empowering moms to let go of all the guilt and the stress that we have and the expectations that we have on ourselves as moms, and have a better connection with their kids. And that's where I'm currently focusing at. And it's just been so beautiful, and it's messy. It's all not figured out, but it's just beautiful, because it's what I do is I'm taking what I've learned in the classroom and why I connected with kids, and I'm teaching the moms how to have a better connection with their kids and very real conversations. It's beautiful.
Well, I think something that I don't want to glaze over because of the audience listening is we are all women who, I think most of the listeners here are like you and I. We care about our careers. We're invested. We're service-based people. And so we go out and we serve our people. And I think you experience in your real life as well. We go out and we pour into our careers because there's a lot of gratification that comes internally from that. And then we come home, or maybe you're not that gratified at work. You could be listening and being like, I hate my job. And that's fine too. But no matter what, you're still delivering on it. And then you're coming home and your little people still need you, and you're tapped out and exhausted, and you're not really showing up as your best self for them. And then you're wondering why things aren't going the way you desire them to go at home. And I think that's really the gap that you're helping to bridge, is that connection, that communication, that flow, that ease that comes from something as simple as, I hate my homework, I don't want to do it, right? And then there's friction at the end of the school day, potentially. And then the mom yells and reaches out and, behaves in a way she doesn't feel congruent to. And you're trying to just show the entire family here, like, how do we all create synergy?
Beautifully. Yep. That's exactly right. And it's the whole family approach. It's interesting. A lot of the moms, when they reach out to me, they'll have one idea in mind of why they're reaching out to me. My child is socially awkward or lacks confidence, or my child is really struggling in math. It's usually an academic thing. My child is really struggling in math. And what I love is through conversation, it's always more than just the math. And it's the mom's insecurity of math and the mom's stress on her day. And what you just said is beautiful. There's this tension in the house and doesn't know how to deal with it. Kid is frustrated. I mean, it's just this like tanglement of emotion and frustration. And it's like, they just need a little support. They just need some different language and different mindset and different strategies. So that's what I love to help with.
Yeah. And you're really fantastic at that part. And it comes through like your heart and your organic, ability to serve people is your zone of genius. And that's why I love helping people like yourself hold on to that and then find like, how do I take that and then put it into a place that I can truly build a life, right? That I can build a thriving business model that allows me to deliver the stuff that I want and not in the environment like that I thought I had to deliver it in. And so I want to talk a little bit more about just your learnings in business and talk about our coaching a little bit. You were part of our Business Accelerator cohort, I guess, a year ago. And through that, inside that community, right, it's a group environment. We also get the chance to work together a little one-to-one. And then my high level community called the Inner Circle, which is an invite only community. I invited you to be a part of that. And the reason I did that was because your ability to take consistent action and just you're like a sponge. You're just like, show me, I'm gonna figure it out. And I want to also say that you also have a tendency to slip into overwhelm pretty heavy too, right? That contrast is there. And I think that's where most people are. I want to know from you, like, how did you manage that newness, that, being willing, like your really deep quest for knowledge and growth with like the so many things that, you were trying to balance in your life?
I have to say first, it's you, the way that I just felt so taken care of by you. And you know me. It's interesting. I never thought, when you think about people with own businesses, they just have their business. You don't know the behind the scenes. And the behind the scenes business is not just business. Business is so emotional. Business is so personal. And business is such a mind-blowing.
It's a mind F. Yeah, it's a mind F. I will for you.
It is. And I didn't know that. And having you, though, to lean on and to reach out to and send you my holy crap, I'm in overwhelm. And you didn't let me just sit there. And you also didn't just coddle me either, which I wanted to just be like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. You would shine the mirror in my face, right? And that's what helped me get me through. But also just this huge shift that you helped me with my mind is business is not about me. It's about serving. It's about serving my families. So that was a really big learning moment. Another one is just do it anyway. I mean, I'm scared every single day, every single email, every single, I don't like attention on me at all. So even being on here is very interesting. I'm working through that fear, but I'm scared to death on all of these things. I was absolutely terrified of Instagram. Do it anyway. One little post a day. And what also saved me is the learning of one little thing every single day, especially in the beginning when there's so much to always do, right? But just that one little thing every day. And I just kept going, one little thing, one little thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you reminded me of that. That's still pivotal for me today, even at where I'm at now, is still the one little thing.
Yeah.
Because sometimes those knobs in our life need adjusted, like the parent knob or the wife knob or the business knob. There's constantly in flux. And so that too is important for me, especially as we're entering in the summer months. And for the women listening and ourselves, we know that we hold that value of family very high. And so to maintain congruency in there, as you approach summer, it takes strategic action and it takes intentional action. And it also takes a requirement of our mind to not get into a place of like, oh, I should be further ahead. I should be doing this, but to be really intentional with how we're thinking about how we're spending our time.
It's true. And the energy leaks of going into overwhelm or those, what do you call it? Oh, indulgent.
Oh, indulgent emotion. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And when you put it like that, it's like, oh, well, I don't want to be indulgent in my emotions, and taking care of our mind, right? And like you said, with the summer and this balance of I want to be all the things for my family, and I also want my business, and I also want, you want all these things. And I think a lot of the learning, there's so much learning. I could talk all day about all the learning you've given me, but it's really taking care of our mind and being freaking gentle on ourselves. There were days that all I needed to do was go relax, go take a walk, and let my brain just be quiet and let the processing happen. And then you're going to get back into it. Really, you taught me really, really to just take care of your mind first.
Yeah. The key, right? I always say our personal problems are our business problems. You can't escape them. And by working on yourself, profit follows too, right? So having those personal breakthroughs is just as important as having our clients help them, right? If we're not working on ourselves, we're totally blocking our clients' ability to progress as well. So it's a tandem journey together.
Definitely.
I want to say this, and I say this jokingly, but your website's not live yet, right?
No, it's not.
Okay. So you did all this without a website.
I do not have a website. I do not have business cards
or a logo
or colors or fancy, I don't even really have a business name yet. I'm still figuring out my business name.
Yeah. And I say that facetiously because that's such an objection in the beginning of what we think a real business is. And I just have to reemphasize that point, no matter where you're at. I mean, I always say, I think I was surpassing the $50,000 mark before I even built my own website. At that point, I wasn't investing in someone else. Now I have somebody do that stuff for me, but that does not make a business. You are in business when you have two things. You're helping people have results and you have profit. And you have both those things and you are a business. And I think that you're a shining example of just taking your skill set and working on managing your mind around the certifications you don't actually need and just going out and serving and letting that start to really be the part that dictates what you love and what you don't love, and then refining it from there.
Ooh, that was a good one too. What do you love and what you don't love? That's what helped me organize. Well, I'm not just an academic, I'm not a tutor. So, that's bread and butter, but yeah, it's really interesting. And if I didn't have you to help guide me on what the business part will look like, then it's just an idea.
Mm-hmm. And so many women get stuck in the ideation part, right? And I think though that we can't build out a robust website and write the copy and speak to our ideal people without delivering. So anybody listening, this is my tip. Do not invest in all of those things until you really, really know who you're talking to, because that's a mistake I made. Even in the beginning, when I was building my website, I didn't understand the importance of copy and messaging, which is something, we touch on heavily throughout any of my programs or my one-to-one coaching, because business is storytelling, and storytelling in the way that attracts our people. And it's actually the hardest part of business, I think.
For sure.
Nailing the messaging.
Yeah. I mean, we've had to do some dive deep journaling and activities to even begin to scratch the surface of what in the world your messaging is. It's difficult.
Absolutely. So can we talk a little bit to then the evolution of your group program? And in 1 year, you took this one-to-one work and looked at what you love, what you didn't, obviously worked a tremendous amount on yourself, and then broke through this idea of supporting creating a one-to-many group environment. And what's that group like? And what's the goal of that group?
It's been a beautiful transition. So the group is an intimate group of like-minded women, stay-at-home moms and career women. And the like-mindedness is we all have one thing in mind, and it's we want a deeper connection with our children, and we want confident children. And so it's a beautiful group of women who we come together authentically. We have deep conversations. I teach them strategies on how to deepen that connection, how to communicate better with their kids. I make a joke that I'm the child Rosetta Stone for children because I get their language. Everything a kid does is a sign, and it's a symbolic form of language for us. An eye roll means something,
Yeah, it's true.
And they're to us means something. So we laugh and we cry. We just have some really great conversations. A lot of it's interesting. my goal is to empower these women so that they can go and take these tools they learn with me and go do it with their children. Mm-hmm. That's what we do.
And so when you end here, I want to make sure that you call to action, because if you're listening and you're like, okay, I need more Thia in my life, she's going to drop us the places to connect with her at the end of this too. So you can explore what one-to-one coaching could look like with her or inside of her group program as well. So we'll come back to that. I want to bring something up though that I think is really important for the ladies listening who are at this cusp. So no matter if you're just in the ideation phase like Thia was, or you're moving along, but you're feeling stuck in your business, like you need like a swift kick in the pants, or you're working so hard and not seeing any of the fruits of your labor, right? These are all kind of clients that normally I would work with. But when I talk to these women on the phone that are like, okay, I need support, and we talk about what support could look like and the options, one of the inevitable objections that comes up for so many women is like, but I got to talk to my husband. And that was part of our journey too. And it was, as we were talking, it was like, sometimes this happens too in coaching. It's like, okay, I need to talk to my husband. But inside we're like, this is a hell yes. Like, this is such an easy yes, right? And we know it and you just feel it, right? I felt that energy with you immediately. I think you felt that energy with me. And then obviously, like in a marriage, there's communication. And when you're making an investment in yourself, it feels very important and congruent to create that communication, which I am all for. But also, when you've not invested in yourself and you're going to at a level that's new, you do have to have those conversations. And in business, it's typically like, well, what's the ROI? Like a guy is objective and reasoning is like, well, if you invest $2, when are you going to make that $2 back? Right. Mm-hmm. So I want to talk a little bit about like how that was for you in the beginning and how it is for you now after a year in, and what your husband is like thinking, saying, doing.
It's so interesting. It's so funny. So yes, I was absolutely that woman who needed that conversation with my husband for sure. Just, I guess if I'm being very honest, it was a little bit of a permission needed, and also just communication that it was an investment in something different. And I had never, ever done anything like that before. So this idea of investing in myself was just new. Like I never even thought it could be possible to do that. Never seen it, never modeled it. No family had ever done it. So it was scary. It was new. But now, so we had the conversation and you jumped on the phone with him.
Yes, which I'm willing to do. And it was a great conversation. And what I want to say too is what I loved about him is he just like wanted to protect you. He knew like how you're very heart-centered, heart open, right? And I think his was like, he wanted to know like I was just not some illegitimate quack on the other line that was like going to take your money and run. And I think I get that, right? That's part of I would say some of the negative connotations around the private coaching world is people do, unfortunately take money and don't really serve their people and get to know their people. But I think once he talked to me and could see like my clarity and my support and my excitement for supporting you, he was like, okay, this is good. But go ahead. You were going to say now, where is it now?
Yeah. And where it's now is I am in charge of my own decisions. And that is just huge. Yeah. Huge. I don't need permission anymore. This is my life, and no disrespect to my husband. Of course, he trusts me, and it's just, I'm doing it. I'm all in on myself. I believe in myself in a whole different capacity now. I trust myself.
Yeah. There is your big T, by the way. Not only trust yourself, but you are like putting your hands in money. You're getting uncomfortable with just knowing numbers in your business and what a spreadsheet could possibly teach you, how to think bigger around. This is stuff we've been working on inside our inner circle community, just understanding what could metrics look like in my business? Okay, I want to generate this, multiple six figures in a year or two from now. Well, so what does that mean in my offerings, right? So just even being in a position to be empowered around money has been a really big shift for you too.
Oh yeah. I was terrified of money. I'm still working through that,
Oh, Thia, you're amazing. I so appreciate you sharing all the things. I would love for you to share with the audience where they can connect with you to continue watching your journey and take your content, apply it into their own lives. And if they're interested in support in some way, they can find you.
Awesome. Well, thank you. It's fun just to have a chit chat about our whole journey. It's
been so fun and it's still going.
It is still going. Yeah. And forever, by the way. You're not getting rid of me.
I'm good with that.
But yeah, I would love to connect with your listeners. You can find me on Instagram. It's ThiaLuticH1, or just Facebook is my first and last name, Thia Lutic. And I also have in my bios on each Facebook and Instagram, you can click on the link of my calendar if you want to set up a 20-minute chat with me and see if I could serve you.
Amazing. Well said. And all the stuff that she mentioned, by the way, will be in our show notes. So if you didn't catch that or you're driving, you can come back and check the show notes and connect with Thia directly. So I am celebrating you and honored to guide you, and so proud of you for showing up and standing in your light and sharing your whole journey with us.
Thank you. It's been so much fun.
And if you love this episode, I would love for you to subscribe to the podcast on whatever favorite podcasting app you have. That way you will be sure to get the newest episodes delivered to you for free as soon as they come out.